Are you tired of painting with a mess? Maybe this is just the video for you. It's all about using pan pastels with less of a mess. First, let's have a coffee. This one is by Hummingbird. They do a fair trade coffee, and this brew's called Nectar. I always start my art with a coffee, and normally I measure how long it takes to do a painting by how many coffees I have, and whoa, you can see it's kicked in. So the portrait I'm doing here, I'll tell you a little bit about the guy as we go in. But I'm using pan pastels, and this is a permanent red starting off with. And the reference photo I had for Isaac, like so many photos I've seen from my Nigerian friends on LinkedIn, the photos often have they're a little bit filtered, and I can't quite tell what their real colours are underneath. So Isaac's a very colourful person, lovely personality, and I decided to go with really warm tones for him. Now the paper that I chose to do Isaac on didn't really have much of a choice because I only had a few papers left available at home, and this one is called, one moment, it's called Pearl Grey. It's me tints. I'm never going to say that right. I'm sure I'm just going to say me tints soon. But it's a Canson paper, and I'm using the textured side. Where I am in New Zealand, these papers only cost something like $5.50. It's about, I'm not going to convert it to inches, sorry, but in millimeters, I think it's 600 by 500 mil. So just a little bit smaller than some of the bigger pastel matte papers, which are 3 times as much. And to be honest, I really don't like using pan pastels on pastel matte. It just grips them so much. You just end up using so much pan pastel working on pastel matte. So these cotton rich papers by Canson, they're just lovely. They're cheap. They just do the job. And I didn't really care the fact that this is a pearl grey, and I'm doing a warm picture on top. The colours of the pan pastels, they just glow, and they'll come right through. You notice I'd already done the eyes, because this video is really about using pan pastels, and I use pastel pencils for the eyes. They were probably Carbothalos mainly for the eyes to get in there, and they probably took about 30 minutes to do. But I just want to show that when using pan pastels, they're quite an incredible medium. Normally if you're using pastel sticks or even pastel pencils, you're always blending, and quite often with your fingers. And I normally have baby wipes handy at my workbench next to the easel, just to get the pastel dust off my fingers. But with pan pastels, you see I'm using the little applicators here, the soft tools, SOFTT I think it's spelt, and these little micro sponges just pick up the pastel beautifully, and they do all the blending work. And there's just a bit of charcoal pencil going on there. I do tend to use blues when I'm doing here as well. And if I'm using pencils, I'll use a dark green and a dark red to try and get my blacks in. So the Pan Pastel, it's very clean to use. Normal pastel sticks, you get dust everywhere. And, if they get old, they get dry, and you pick them up and they crack and you crumbs everywhere. I mean, I love pastel sticks. I just adore them. Beautiful, buttery colours and textures you can get from them. But the Pan Pastel is just so fast, and it doesn't. It's translucent. It doesn't really work in the same way that pastel sticks and pastel pencils work. It feels like you're putting down dry paint, which is what you're doing. The pigment, it's just paint pigment. It's very dry, of course, and but it goes on almost like a liquid onto the paper. And it's a fantastic medium because you can use a plastic eraser. I use a little electric one, and do lots of touch-ups, bring in highlights using the eraser as well. It just takes it straight off, which is not something I've experienced with normal pastels. So you just get a nice, clean, dust-free. You won't see lots of dust floating down from this. And it's one of the reasons I picked pastels to learn how to paint with. I just couldn't be bothered with drying time and using thinners. I just hate the smell. Yeah, fussing around with water and washing brushes. It was like, I don't have the energy for it. I respect those who do, but I just don't have the energy. I just want to get on and paint something, and I want to be able to come back to it straight away. If I walk away and have another coffee, I want to be able to come back and resume painting and not have to worry about dry times. So the pastel's been a great medium, and the Pan Pastels that I've been experimenting with, they've really changed the experience. So this was a fairly quick portrait. I'm a very slow painter. One day I'll put up a full-length video of me painting, because I'm sure the folks who love ASMR and they just want to listen to someone drone on for a couple of hours, they'll be thrilled as I do it. There's the eraser going. Do a long painting and a long voiceover. So the palette that I'm using is mainly permanent reds, oranges, a yellow called, I think it's Diarylide. I'm not sure how to pronounce it. It's Diarylide, and I like using the dark tones that get that sort of green colour. But I'm quite happy to just pull everything from the palette. I had a burnt sienna, all the shades of burnt sienna, the dark, the just normal, and the tint going on here. Throwing on some Phthalo Greens and Ultramarine Blue in the hair, and we'll see later on in the jacket. And I'm just sort of trying to blend it in. You've got to be a little bit careful with the Pan Pastels. If you get too much on, it just goes a bit mushy. And but I'm not heavily blending the colours in. I'm looking for splashes of colour, and you'll see some purple and blue near the shadow by his ear, and in the end, I decided to keep that on because there's it sort of reminded me of a mask like a superhero would wear, and they're trying to disguise themselves, and they put a mask over their eyes. And there's a little bit about Isaac that he does hide from people as well. So he's a little quiet hero. I met him on LinkedIn. So Isaac is from Nigeria, and I'm in New Zealand. And you go, well, how do you meet these people from Nigeria? Well, in I think it was this year in 2022, there was a new sort of thing started up on LinkedIn by the community called Social Saturday. And on Social Saturday, people, tens of thousands of people all around the world connect. And they just say, oh, I'm open to connect. And sometimes they say a little bit about themselves, and other times they just send you a connection request, and it's your choice whether you want to connect with them or not. And I wasn't too sure about Isaac, because in his name, he refers to himself as the Purpose Preacher. And I thought, oh, what's his content going to be like? I'm not sure. But okay. So I connected with Isaac, and to begin with, his content was pretty quiet. Like so many people starting off on social media, particularly LinkedIn, they just put out a sort of a positive post, you're going to have a great day, or everything's going to be all right, or, you've got this. No, I haven't got this. I'm going to have a bad day. But anyway, they put out these positive memes and a little picture. And anyway, I started seeing Isaac all over the place, always on a Saturday. He was always very pleasant and inviting people to connect. And when I talked to him, he always called me Sir. I'm like, what the heck is this? Why does he keep calling me Sir? I felt, this is a bit weird. So I asked him, and he says, oh, in Nigeria, that's how we talk to our elders. Oh, that made me feel good. Man, he put another 20 years on me. So, all the Nigerians like that. Many of them that I connect with will call me different sort of things. It's quite funny. So I'm just using my little electric razor there, by the way, to just cut back to the paper. Bring the colour of the paper through for the highlights on his lips. And but Isaac's content anyway, he really matured over he posts something nearly every day, and I thought I'd read just a little bit so you can get the essence of the man that I'm painting. Because to me, when I do a portrait, you can grab a photo of someone, go to pexels.com, and you can grab a photo of someone, but you don't really know them. There's no real connection with them. And when you don't have a connection with someone, the tendency is to just try and draw them as realistically as possible. And you'll find if you subscribe to the channel and you follow the videos, I just can't be bothered with going for hyper-realistic art. I really admire those who do it. I think they do a fantastic job. But I just don't see myself as a colour copier. There's already a nice photo of them. I'm trying to bring something else, something to life from the reference photo I see. And when you do a portrait of someone you know, I think you've got a deeper connection, and you can bring art from the heart. And so it was with Isaac. I was trying to just get some of the colour off the man into his face. So this is what he says anyway. This was a recent post of his. We'd been talking to each other about soft skills. And he says, soft skills require time. The age of doing too much too fast leaves little room for humans to exercise their humanity, their natural abilities to connect, build relationships and care for something larger than themselves. Now is the time to listen, learn, create and lead. If you want your organisation to have more soft skills developed, you must be willing to give your employees time to be human. That's nice, isn't it? Give them time to be human. And poor Isaac, I don't know if you know, but there were lots of floods in Nigeria recently. Terrible floods. Wiped out a huge amount of farmland, and millions of people lost their homes. Isaac himself, and at one stage he had to leap into water. He didn't have to, but he chose to. Leapt into the water to rescue a young girl. But he never talks about these things on LinkedIn. Very few of the Nigerians ever talk about their personal problems. They're such a lovely people, and just a joy to connect with. Very good storytellers, deeply spiritual people. So Saturday they party, connect. There's thousands of Nigerians out connecting with everyone around the world, and Sunday off they go to their places of worship. Now, as I'm doing this jacket and the shirt and tie and his watch, I'm just trying to put the suggestion in. The jacket, I mean, Isaac dresses magnificently. He's a really sharp dresser. Here I am as a slob in my t-shirt just painting him. He'd probably put his tie and jacket on if he was painting me. But he dresses immaculately, but I just wanted the suggestion. I'm just getting rid of some loose bits of pastel there. I probably could have left them there. It wouldn't have made any difference. Because when you're doing a portrait, in my view, and everyone will have their own view about how they want to see it, but I really don't want the eyes to focus too much on the rest of the painting. It's filler, and our brains fill it in. We don't need to put every detail in. We want to get the essence of the person that we're painting. Have we managed to capture some of their personality? It's not a sardonic look. I was really happy with that cheek, by the way. I'm just patting myself on the back as I look at it now. But that one cheek anyway worked out really well. The other one, poor Isaac, I could have put some more time into it. But I set myself a goal in painting this. It used to take me a week to do a portrait, and there's a number of people on LinkedIn who I respect who've been saying, just if you give yourself 3 days to do something, it'll take 3 days. If you give yourself 3 hours to do it, you might find it only takes 3 hours. So I was like, okay, I'll do this in an afternoon. And so that's where this portrait came from. I got to say, using pastel pencils on top of pan pastels is not a fun thing. Get your pencil work done first, and then put your pan pastels on. It's not a fun experience using pencils on top of pans. At least that's what I've found. And so We're sort of coming to the last few touches of Isaac, and I hope from this particular video you've got to see that pan pastels are a really nice clean medium to use. I didn't need to go wash my hands after this, get all the dark pastel dust off. It's just a joy to use these things, and they're a lot of fun. They're very fast, and if you're thinking of getting into pastels, why not get a set of pans? So I guess it's time to thank you very much. Enjoyed having you here to watch the video, and hope you enjoy coffee and art. Thanks again.